Okay, well, hi guys. Welcome to another episode of Complex Like Wine. We have a really special guest this week, Summer.
Hi.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, of course. I literally thank you so much for
Yeah,
having me.
no, definitely. I'm really excited for this podcast. You're probably going to tell based on the title, it's going to be a bit of a heavier topic, but we're both really excited or very hopeful for awareness that we're going to bring with this episode and just kind of opening up the conversation and like the taboo-ness of that's related to this topic. So, before we dive into that, quick disclaimer, if you're in the process of healing and this conversation or this topic is triggering to you, it's okay to if you need to skip this episode. Totally understandable. I was there once and hopefully someday whenever you're ready to talk about it, this could be a really good outlet of starting that conversation or healing process for you. So, if you need to skip, totally fine. Don't worry about it. But before we dive into the conversation, we're going to talk about this week's wine. So, I'm holding up the bottle here. This is by Jacqueline Bayhue from California, a 2020 Albarino. So, I'm going to read a little bit about Bayhue's bio, and then we're going to talk about how they describe the wine, and then we're going to taste it. Okay, so Jacqueline Bayhue is the first generation winemaker and has spent nearly a decade working in wine. After completing her BS in the University of California, Davis for viticulture and enology, she's worked for wineries in Italy, Spain, New Zealand, as well throughout Northern California. Working with winemakers from around the world has fueled her love for wine and food, language, and culture. So she joined Naked Wines, thank you, back in her infancy to open its winery facilities in Sonoma, California, and quickly ascended to her role of director of winemaking in 2016. Jacqueline took the advice of thousands of eager fans and became a full-time independent winemaker. So again, each week, the first 11 episodes, we're trying wines from nakedwines.com, where this pack specifically for the month of March, they had a whole female winemaker pack. So this is again another bottle from them. The description that Naked Wines puts for the wine is that it's bright and zesty with a burst of tropical fruit flavors and a crisp, thirsty, quenching finish. This Albarino is a perfect refresher for warm weather and sipping. Jacqueline sources her choice of top quality Albarinos and preserves every ounce of fresh, juicy flavor with a slow, cold fermentation to craft the most lively white wine possible, just for you. Pair this delicate, easy sipper with a fresh seafood or a decked out cheese plate and treat your taste buds to a good life. So, not on camera, but we have a bunch of cheeses downstairs, so I'm excited to try it with the wine.
Yeah, me too.
Yes, so cheers.
So you're supposed to be like fancy.
Yeah, you like spin it, you let it aerate, you breathe, you sniff it.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
This reminds me of Sauvignon Blanc because I love Sauvignon Blanc. That is good.
Yeah,
That is good.
So I'm typically more of like a red wine type of girl.
Ooh,
So I usually,
I'm not.
yeah, I usually don't have whites, but this is really delicious.
Yeah, I'm not a red wine. I don't like red wine. I don't like dry wine.
Mm-hmm.
So anything, this is like right up my alley. This is really good.
Good. I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, of course.
So, starting this topic, we're both a little nervous, but again, I think it's really important to have this conversation. So, again, I just want to say thank you for being here.
Yeah, it's just, it's no one's favorite thing to talk about, but the only way anything's gonna ever get better is if you talk about it. So if I can help just at least one more person, then I feel a little bit better that I can make something good out of something bad, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think what's kind of helped with my turning point, kind of with my healing journey and all that, is realizing how many people have gone through this and have not had a chance to talk about it. And when they're able to talk about it with you, it sucks because you have to use your experience, but now you have a new level of empathy and understanding that not everyone has.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and if you haven't figured out what we're talking about this week, we're kind of talking about like sexual assault, sexual trauma, and April is the Sexual Awareness Month.
Yeah, Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So if you know RAINN, it's the Rape, Abuse, Incest organization.
Mm-hmm.
They do a lot of great events and everything that you can follow. They post really good information about consent, everything, so you can really help with that. I'm going to be doing a consent workshop soon. It's still in the works. I'm just planning everything out. So you'll be the first one to know
Mm-hmm.
when I do all of that. So, but keep your ears out for that because they do a lot of great information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll definitely be posting our social medias and Rain and different resources in the description, whatever platform you're on. So if you want to get posted or updated about the workshop, follow either one of us, and we'll definitely be posting more about it once it's out. But yeah, again, this topic isn't easy for everyone to do. It's very personal, and I think it there's a lot of work that has to be done to get to the point where you're vulnerable enough to be open because of wanting to help and bring awareness.
Exactly. I think it's just the only way that I think about this is that it's so much more than me. It's so above me because it's 97%.
Mm-hmm.
It's 97%. And at the time that it happened to me, I was 16. And, like I knew what rape was. I just didn't. And I was very informed. I have a very supportive family that I'm so grateful for. I wouldn't have been able to get this far in my healing process without them, obviously. And I knew what it was, but I still can't believe it happened to me. And I was like, did this happen? It just was such a weird experience. And I didn't have anyone with any similar experience that I knew about because it just wasn't as talked about. This is before the Me Too movement, before, this was more not an okay topic. This was just more talked about
Mm-hmm.
because the reason why it's still happening is because no one talks about it.
Exactly. I nailed it on the head. If you're comfortable with sharing, was the what was like the process of after it happened and now kind of once you were able to tell people and like how did that go for you personally? Because I know for everybody it's very different.
Yeah, of course. Like for me, even, before and now, obviously it changed me, but it doesn't define me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of crazy if you really met
Mm-hmm.
me. I'm really loud, I'm outgoing, I'm funny, I'm kind. But, now I have some other issues that I have to deal with. I would say, like, it, I didn't tell anyone for a month and I worked with him for a month and I don't remember that whole month of my life. And that's totally okay if you have some like memory glitches, that's really big with mental illness. And I do have PTSD, depression, and anxiety, and I'm very open about it, but I wasn't always open about it. I told someone a month and then we ended up going through with court, and that was a very long process. So that was just an interesting process and everything. But I feel like the older I got, the more I understood it and the more it kind of hurt because at the time that it happened, I never had sex and I don't consider me getting raped. It was my first time.
Mm-hmm.
I lost my virginity at 17. Sorry, family, if that's a little TMI, but because rape isn't consensual, sex is consensual.
Mm-hmm.
So that was something for me. I was happy that I understood, and I don't know why. And I never viewed all men as bad. I just got way more careful what I did. I never leave the house without pepper spray or taser. But for me, I think it was just the more I definitely matured at a young age because I was going through different processes. But
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, just um, I like to. I'm a natural empath. I care about people, and the first time I think I spoke up about it was a couple of years ago. I posted on my social media because I had a panic attack, which led me to get in a car accident, and that was the
Mm-hmm.
first time I spoke up about it because I was just like, I feel like I can help someone, and I was so scared. I was having a panic attack, and the feedback that I got, I so many people like came forward like telling me, and I was able to just help them and share an experience that you're not alone. So that really helped me in my healing process. Everyone is different. Don't feel bad if you don't feel comfortable talking about it. That's totally okay. Just for me, that's what helped.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, learning through that, and over time I've gotten a lot more comfortable talking about it. Not It's not my favorite thing to talk about, but for me, like, for anyone to get close to me in my life, they have a general understanding because I'm not going to put up with people who don't understand.
Yeah.
And that's something that was the hardest thing for me because I'm like, how can people blame me for something it's not my fault, and I was a kid and I didn't even know what happened to me and stuff. So the older I get, the less you care about people who don't care about you, you get to weaving out the bad people. I've said bye to so many people who don't understand because they victim blame me or they made me feel bad about myself. And I'm like, I shouldn't feel bad about myself because it's not my fault. I mean, I've definitely had my ups and downs. I go to therapy, love therapy. Thank you, Andriana. You're
Mhm.
amazing. Just, get the help you need. I feel like for me, the how I healed was because of my support system. If I didn't have a support system, I don't think I would be the same how I am today.
Mhm.
So if it may not be your family, I was just very fortunate enough. There's someone that will listen to you, and that's why, we're talking about it. I don't even care if I don't know you. Please reach out to us. I want to help.
Piggybacking off of that,
Hmm.
we met briefly,
Yeah,
like at a park
once
once.
3 years ago
Yeah, like
at a frat party.
yeah, like super briefly, and like exchanged social medias like young kids do. And I remember you posted
Hmm.
about what
That was
happened.
the first time I posted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I remember seeing that, and I had chills because I knew nobody that's ever been forward or open like that. Nobody. And so that's when I knew I had to respond and be like, thank you for being so brave for speaking up for people that don't have that voice yet, which was me. Because didn't want to tell anybody. Like, it took me 2 years before saying anything to anybody.
Yeah, which is totally okay. Everyone,
Mm-hmm.
there's no, it's like with grieving or with healing, there's no right or wrong way to do it, and there's no right or wrong time.
Mm-hmm.
You can't feel bad about it because if you go in that direction, if you're like, I could change this, then you're gonna go spiraling down. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been there. We've all been there.
Mm-hmm.
We all have our good and our bad days. We just need to try, and that's the worst thing I think we can do. It's like,
Yeah.
I wish I could change that.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing.
I not even when it comes to like trauma and PTSD, but with anything, if you're kind of living in the past of like, oh, what if I had done this differently or that, you're not being mindful and like present in your now.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I think so too. It's just you have to, I mean, life happens. I didn't do anything and you didn't do anything that made me feel like I was deserved to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a bikini because I was 16 at the beach. There's nothing wrong with that happening. It's
Mm-hmm.
just there's good and there's bad. It's just how you deal with it. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if you have that support system, I think that's definitely one of the most important things.
Yeah.
You need to tell, I'm not saying you have to tell everyone like us or anything, but tell someone. There's someone that's gonna grasp what you're
Mm-hmm.
thinking.
And I think I can speak for both of us. If anyone's listening out there and needs to talk to somebody about it, we are here to listen and talk about it with you and kind of help guide you to resources that if you need something more on the bigger scale of help, resources, therapy, we're more than happy to kind of guide you that direction of what you need, how we can help you get the need and help that you deserve.
Hmm.
We talked briefly yesterday. You made a point of how we have different perspectives
Yeah,
and
I was just about to ask you, like,
yeah.
tell me about your story
Yeah.
now.
So I was 18, never had sex, and like the way I was brought up, I was very passionate about not having that happen. And so that took a really big toll on me because I didn't have the mindset of you where I didn't consider it as like my first time. For me, if like I put a lot of blame on myself that, well, I let it happen. So like my worth or values now
Yeah.
to the trash. It doesn't matter. And so if anyone has seen the Ni Demi Lovato documentary series on YouTube, she kind of talks about her story. And that struck a chord with me because the way she reacted is how I reacted. And for me, it was, I was so confused and denial. I was like, it really happened to me. Like, oh, like it must have been my fault or I must have been okay with it. And so, again, months of denial and then decide, like, I'm going to take the power into my own hands and decide when and how it happens. So it's like my way of redemption. And again, everybody's healing timeline's different. But I think for me now, 5 years later, I've realized that wasn't the healthy way for me to react. I needed time to process. I needed to talk to people. And for me, it happened twice, like a few months apart with different people. And so when the second time happened, I thought for sure, like, oh, this is definitely a me problem. Like, I must be really stupid to allow this to happen again. And like, decide, I don't know, I like put everything, I just like held everything in for a long time. And with the second time, I finally told somebody, a friend, and said like, hey, I think I'm starting to remember some stuff that happened to me. I think I was raped. And they told me like, you might be making it up. So, and for me, no person wants to hear that. So I didn't say anything to anybody for 2 years later because I thought, well, I guess I really am making this up. Maybe I'm just trying to get attention or trying to like justify why someone would say that to me. And so for like the next year, I kind of was a little more reckless with my intimate life because again, I thought my value was gone. I thought it didn't matter anymore. And so again, like taking that power. And after I kind of realized I'm really hurting myself and putting myself in situations with people I don't care about, or like I'm putting myself in a very vulnerable place where I know this isn't me. And I think it's hard. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I'm sure I'm not the only one that wishes somebody would have told them this sooner and realize it's not your fault. You can heal however you need to heal. Like, don't, if people are telling you you're making it up, then sorry, you can cut them out because I like to say this, but fake bitches get cut. Like,
True.
like they are not your true friend. And for them to tell you that you're making it up and for them to put like an opinion that they know what happened is complete BS, in my opinion. And so it took me 2 years to finally be able to speak up because by that point, severe panic attacks, PTSD, I couldn't deal with anymore. So I finally told my family, and that was super hard because obviously you can't know how your family's going to react because again, when it's their child or their sibling, like
Especially their daughter.
yeah. So that was really hard for a season, but I finally was able to get to a place where I've I don't want to say handled it better, but have a more understanding and self-love to myself. And again, the whole conversation realizing like it's not your fault. You didn't ask for it. Just some people don't have the decent human being of respecting other people.
Yeah, if it's just is like I this is something I still struggle with, and because I'm that type of person just so naturally, I'm not be like I'm a nice person. I am a nice person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very empathetic person. I have the tendency when you tell me a story, I put myself in your shoes and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like and that's why I feel other people's pain and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel people always come to me about their problems, but especially when you talk about sexual assault, that's just especially with people who haven't gone through it, they're I don't know how to react. And it's not your job to explain
Mm-hmm.
to them. It's not your job. Just remember this. It's not your job to explain how you feel or how you act to anyone because they don't know. And the sad thing is, the only way anyone's going to even remotely feel how you feel is if they've been sexually assaulted because
Yeah.
you don't know how you feel man or woman. This isn't just men against women.
Mm-hmm.
It's rape is about power. It's not even about the sexual act. It's just having that power over someone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just unfortunately I hate that we relate to that, but it's easier to talk about with someone that
Yeah.
it's true. And I'm not saying you can only talk about it with someone who it's gone through, but don't feel bad if anyone's saying something, and because sometimes they don't know that what they're saying is offending you, and if
Mm-hmm.
you're saying like, hey, don't say that, that's offending me, if they're a good friend they won't say it again, and they'll
Mm-hmm.
be like, okay, what should I say instead of that? If they make you feel bad for that, they don't care about you, because they should try to understand you because you didn't do this to yourself.
Exactly. When I was finally able to like tell people now, at least with my close friends, all my close friends know just because, at least for me, I like to let the close people in my life know because they can be aware if I'm having a trigger or something happens to me in public. They know, like, okay, we need to kind of reassess the situation and they know how to help me. And kind of want to dive now into the whole mental health aspect on how it really affects like your psyche. For me, PTSD, oh goodness, I
Wait, did you have any, was your mental illness all trauma based, or did you have anything before your rape, your attack?
So regarding within like the sexual assault arena, there's been instances before
Okay.
rape. So
Okay.
I and unrelated, but like the whole history with my family life and like my relationship to my mom, I've just grown up with really severe anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's now created
A bigger sense of
a big,
it.
yeah, like super sensitive to anything like overly sexual or kind of aggressive, because again, like your defense mechanism, your like brain triggers that as like, okay, I need to protect myself. There's actual danger happening. But yeah, with PTSD, I don't even like to go out by myself anywhere. A story I have, I was at the movies with my dad and brother, and the new Ghostbusters movies was playing. So that tells you how long ago this was.
Yeah.
And, I usually always sit in the middle because anxiety, I don't want to sit next to anybody. But for whatever reason this day, I sat on the edge. And there was a lot of room in the row. So it was really weird for me that this dad and his whole family like, had to sit right next to me. I'm like, okay, whatever, probably the movie's going to get filled up. And so he was drinking. So that already kind of made me a little nervous. Just because I'm an anxious person. I always get a little more like, all right, be mindful. And so throughout the movie, he has his arm on the armrest. And for me, I'm like, all right, you already hogged up the armrest. I guess I'm just going to lean on the side. And I was wearing shorts. It's the middle of the summer. It was a hot day. And his arm starts creeping slowly over to my side to the point where I'm like cross-legged, sitting as far as I can away from him. And I could still feel him like rubbing my leg. And that made me so angry because like, I'm just a kid. I'm just here trying to watch a movie with my family, and you're here with your wife and your kids, and like, what's wrong with you? Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
No, it's just people are stupid, you know? Like there's
Mm-hmm.
just no other way. It's just like because and I feel like just even talking about it, like for me, I think with like my mental illness and stuff, everything was trauma based. I got anxiety, PTSD, and depression from all of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I first started going to therapy when I was 16, I'm personally not religious. Um, and when I was 16 and a therapist told me if I believed in God, I wouldn't have gotten raped. And I was like, fuck you. Like, I'm
No.
so sorry,
Yeah.
but like,
That's not okay.
that's just horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And I have had other unfortunate, like, sexual assault instances. One, I worked at a barbecue restaurant as serving. I was there for a year and a half. And like this short little cook, he would always hug girls like right between the like breasts and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and no one would call him out, and I would never hug him. And one day, like at work, he cornered me and like pulled my hair and kissed my neck, and like no one did anything. The two
Mm-hmm.
other guys were just kind of stunned, and so I ran out and I called my boss. He didn't believe me, and I came home crying. And so my dad, who shout out to Greg, like my dad called him and
Yeah.
cussed him out, and then he fired him. So it's just this like, why didn't you believe me? You
Yeah.
had to have another man yell at you. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not making this a gender thing. Anyone can experience sexual assault,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just the fact that you need to believe the people around you. And that's also like, I feel like with people not believing me, that's made my anxiety so much worse. I've never had this much anxiety in my life, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to handle it. So it's just like a new experience, and mental illness really messes with you. And I
Yeah.
don't feel like it's talked about enough. And that's why even, your whole talk show is about mental health. And I
Mm-hmm.
love that because, yeah, it's an uncomfortable topic, but if you really think about it, there's a lot of people who suffer with
Yeah.
it. More people than you know, and
Mm-hmm.
it's okay. But I feel like if we just keep hiding everything under the covers, you're just going to explode. And so we just need to rip off the band-aid. And it's me talking about this, I feel exposed. I feel naked,
Mm-hmm.
it's awkward, it's uncomfortable, but I'd rather do it in order to stop someone else from experiencing it.
100%. Again, that's why I really respect you, and I'm so thankful that you're here talking about this with me, because when I started creating the podcast, I knew this was one of the topics I wanted to touch on, because this topic and conversation specifically was what I really wish I had when I was 18. And so to be able to do it with you, one, it makes it less scary for me. It's like, oh God, but
Exactly.
it's just an example too for all the listeners that there's people around you who understand you and who will believe you.
With
And
no questions asked.
no questions asked. Like, if you tell them, hey, this happened to me, the right person will, without any question, say, okay, what do I need to do for you? Or how do you need help? Like, how can I be there for you? And it sucks because sometimes it might be a little hard to find those right people, but once you do, there's just something about community and that support that anyone else, they can get out like the hell out of the way. And it's a first step to your wellness journey and your healing story and whatever that means for you.
Exactly. I mean, this is literally, I met her once 3 or 4 years ago
I
at
think
a
going on
party.
4, yeah.
Yeah, going on to 4, and this is our second time hanging out.
Yeah.
So it happens. Anything can happen
Mm-hmm.
throughout it, you know. I can't tell you how many people I've lost. And it sucks because you don't want to lose people, especially for me, because I'm like, I don't want to keep opening up to people and then they leave. And I'm
Yeah.
like, bro, like, I don't want to keep talking about this, but I would hate to get close to someone and then like they made a rape joke. Because that's happened to all
Oh,
of you. You've heard, we've all heard them.
yeah.
That's never okay. I don't care. If you've been raped, don't make them. It's a trigger. Don't make them public and private. That's just a no. It's a big thing. It's not funny. Not funny. Sorry, I just really needed to touch on that. It's
Oh,
not
no,
funny.
I have even like especially my guy friends, even people I've dated where they'll make a rape joke to the bros and I'm there and there's oh,
Especially if they know.
that's the part where I'm like, okay, you're being an asshole. Like, come on. There's just I think people that haven't gone through it, it's really easy for them to make jokes. And not even just about rape, just about anything. But it's sometimes just like, okay, let me like if you could just be in my brain for a minute and see everything that's happened, see how that makes me feel, I bet you would never make a joke like that again. Never.
No, and I don't think people realize just, well, with mental illness in general, on top of, because I mean, I've never met anyone who's been sexually assaulted and didn't either worsen or develop a mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like, I don't think people realize like how much it actually affects them
Yeah.
because we were talking about this yesterday. It's not like I'm gonna post on social media when I'm in bed crying for, like 12 days just
Mm-hmm.
because for no reason. It just happens and stuff
Mm-hmm.
because, that took me a while to figure out my mental illnesses and everything. But I mean, in hindsight, and this isn't for pity, like I don't do this for pity at
Yeah.
all. But for me, I had to be taken out of, I went to like 2 weeks of my senior year of high school and I got on independent study due to safety hazards. And then, like I was a almost straight A student and barely was able to walk in my graduation. And I was going to like a 4-year university and I got denied all of a sudden because I barely passed. And, like I've always had insomnia, made it so much worse. The nightmares are crazy. I don't
Mm-hmm.
like, that's why I don't really like sleeping at other people's houses. Unless I'm drunk because I can pass out, like I don't like sleeping at other people's houses just because I sleep bad and like my anxiety is
Mm-hmm.
through the roof. And I'm a very social person. I'm a communications major. I think I went up to her and I was like, hi,
Yeah.
like. And for me, like sometimes I get social anxiety now, depending on the crowd I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
So it really does affect you. It's not like we show it though, because I want to be strong. I'm just that type of person where I'm like, I mean, I'll cry, but I don't want everyone to see me
Yeah.
cry and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So I think it sucks to be open about it, but it's okay to be vulnerable. And the people, especially the people around me, like for me, my dating life is awful. But like we were saying, how we have those different perspectives, I didn't view men differently.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't view sex differently. I don't know why. There's
Mm-hmm.
like you, like, do you know why we just can't explain it?
Yeah.
We
I
just
lost
heal
words.
differently,
Mm-hmm.
we just heal differently and stuff. But for me, like dating now, the hookup culture, it is what it is, but I kind of wanted to get out of it because for me to like a guy, like I need him to know what I've gone through.
Yeah.
I need him to understand that some days not going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I want someone to understand me, even friend wise too. Like luckily I have a few good core friends. I've weaved in and out of them that
Mm-hmm.
I can just send a text and be like, hey, I'm going through it. Text you when I'm back. And then they'll send me like a checkup text every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that I can do that, and I love that I have
That's
that
awesome.
relationship with them.
Mm-hmm.
And for me with men and stuff, I just, you know, it's quarantine and it's like hard. So,
Dating in the pandemic is a
it's
different
like really
animal.
hard. So like and it's usually when I go to bars, I usually just like dance like an idiot, so no one really wants to talk to me, but it's fine. It's just, but for me now, I view dating more seriously because I want to be with someone who gets me. I don't want to feel bad about myself in front of someone.
Yeah.
I think that's very important. Like I don't want to feel like I'm ashamed. So if you
Mm-hmm.
make a rape joke, I feel like even though you didn't mean it towards me, you meant it in general. Like you
Yeah.
don't view rape seriously.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That I want to dive
No,
into
yeah,
all of.
do
Okay,
it.
so the rape culture right now, it's. I think
Oh,
we've
it's so
already,
bad.
especially when the Me Too movement happened, I think that was a really good first step of saying like this is happening so much to so many people, men, women, and like just people, and there's nothing that's happening to make that change. And the whole rape culture of like machismo men or like machismo women, like just that whole attitude of like that abuse of power and not believing who's ever telling you this has happened to me. And there's just so much work that needs to happen still.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think the biggest thing is that you just need to believe people.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like more people would feel comfortable saying stuff because it happened to me, like people didn't believe me and it sucks. But I was younger. Now as an adult, I'm like, you don't believe me now?
Mm-hmm.
Or if it's, how many times have you heard a story of the guys didn't believe like their friend raped someone and he actually did, and they're like, but he's my friend, and they know they did. And that's not okay
Mm-hmm.
because why would you want to be friends with someone who just raped someone?
I have personal experience with that. A close friend I have, his best friend was the person that hurt me, and took me quite a while to mention to anybody. And so, with this friend, I didn't want to say anything because I'm way too understanding and too considerate to people sometimes, where
Yeah.
it's kind of ends up hurting you. And with this person, I didn't say anything because I knew they were friends and I didn't want to put them in the middle. But once that conversation happened, and this is another point I want to make, don't have expectations of people understand. Just, the true colors of people will show, and you'll get your answer after if they should stick around or not. And, sometimes their reactions are going to hurt, but not that it's an excuse for them or you should tolerate people like that. But when it comes to family or friends, sometimes people just don't know how to react.
No.
Yeah. And so sometimes it takes a while. And with this person specifically, it took a bit of a while for him to realize, sorry, dude, like that friend's gone now. Or like understanding the severity of how bad that hurt happened.
Yeah, and like for me, again, then you get those people because, I have posted about it a couple of times, and you have those people who are like, you're so brave or blah blah blah, like you can talk to me whenever, and I'm like, oh, okay, like thank you, but then they never ask you like how you are or
Mm-hmm.
like just civil things because don't say it if you're not gonna ever ask me how I am because
Mm-hmm.
again, this isn't something that I feel like sometimes when I tell people, I feel like I'm burdening them. And I
Yeah.
know I'm not. I know I'm not. But that's just something that's going to be a forever battle.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's a forever battle. But um with that being said, if someone has told you something about that, check in on them
Mm-hmm.
because they're not going to want to bring it up again because they already brought it up. I mean, don't be like, hey, how do you feel about being sexually assaulted? Because
Mm-hmm.
don't be an idiot, but just be like, hey, like, how are you feeling today? How are you? It's not that hard to be compassionate
Mm-hmm.
because I can't tell you how many times I've had a lot of depressive episodes.
Yeah.
Sometimes they've lasted a month, sometimes I remember them, sometimes I don't. It's just different circumstantial. And like just that one text from someone that you care about and is like, "Hey, thinking about you, hope you're okay, means the world to me.
Mm-hmm.
And just check up on your friends. I don't want to text first. Get out of that. That's
Yeah.
so stupid. We're so above that because
Mm-hmm.
it's not hard to be compassionate.
No.
It's not that hard. Just
Mm-hmm.
be a nice person. And because, I mean, yes, I'm telling the internet and everything, but for me to like actually be telling you face to face and this, like, about my mental illness, like diving deeper, like this is A, B, and C, how it affects me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trusting you. And don't, if you feel awkward about it, you make me feel bad about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And those people I usually just cut out of my life. It's like I don't hate them, but I just don't need them.
Mm-hmm. Ugh, there's like so many points. It's just
I know,
like
I'm sorry.
no,
Talk
no,
a
no, no,
lot.
no, no. Like I love it. It's just like I'm sure for people that are listening in, it's like it's such a complicated topic. There's so many layers.
Aspects and
Yeah, perspectives.
exactly.
And I think the thing when it comes to any sort of trauma, doesn't matter if it's rape or not, but each story doesn't fit everybody. Like
Mm-mm.
each story is so different, and but that doesn't mean that you're isolated from anyone else, because there's a whole community of people, and I think it's really important to have these conversations so you can understand different perspectives and learn something about them.
I
Like
think so too.
mhm.
And I get it. It's, you really only understand it if you've gone through it, but it's not that hard to try to understand.
Mhm.
Think about the worst thing that can happen to you and imagine like how the other person feels. I understand that you don't get it,
Mhm.
but I'm not saying try to like imagine yourself going through that. I wouldn't even wish upon my rapist that happened to him
Mhm.
because I mean, I wish other things would happen to him, like, but I wouldn't wish that because it's just such a terrible thing.
Mhm.
And it's just try to understand them because if you feel awkward about it and it makes you uncomfortable, just imagine how it makes us feel. Just imagine how uncomfortable I feel in certain situations because I'm so paranoid now, I'm so hyper vigilant and stuff
Mhm.
because I have to be because I've been in situations like this past summer I was in Newport just trying to have fun for my friend's birthday and like an old man grabbed me and luckily I have pepper spray and I think we should talk about because I know we wanted to talk about this. We should
Yes.
talking about what oh, you should wear more clothes. Stop talking about like what we should do to like not get raped instead of like talking about what you should do to not rape people.
Yeah, let's dive into that. I think again, this is a whole part of like rape culture where there's pressure of like, well, you shouldn't wear certain things or flirt or like carry yourself in a certain way to get raped. And like, no, 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 no.
Or you shouldn't drink or you
Yeah,
shouldn't do
no, no, no.
this.
I think the conversation is people should teach their children on how to respect other people and not rape. Like
Exactly.
it's it's not that complicated to not hurt somebody in that sense. It's very much you just don't do that certain stuff. And this whole topic, like, I'm sorry to hear that a therapist told you, well, maybe you, if you were Christian or believe in God, this will
Yeah,
happen, or what
exactly.
you wear. Because no, that doesn't matter what you're wearing or how you carry yourself, what your profession is. Like,
I should be able to walk down the street naked and get to A to B without
mm-hmm,
like being grabbed.
mm-hmm. It, there's oh man, we're gonna list a whole bunch of like resources on different studies and different stuff.
Oh yeah.
There's documentaries you can watch all about this. I watched some of them. I think there's a few still left on Netflix. I'll try to link them below. But this whole culture of protecting the abuser and not believing, not taking the like word for what it is of what happened, there has to be some serious changes on what that is. So what do you think are certain steps that we as a culture or people listening in, what are certain things that they or we can start doing to kind of educate ourselves, teach our children, or just like if someone's confronting you or telling you this happened, what are ways that we can be better to like help them, if that makes
I
sense?
think like to try to understand
Mm-hmm.
people, it's not the easiest thing to hear. Even when I told my parents who love me and like accept me for everything, it
Mm-hmm.
was difficult to hear. Just I think you should just think that I mean, some people are just so messed up. I don't know why people lie about sexual assault. I will never understand that.
Yeah.
But that actually happening is so much lower than the actual amount of sexual assault that's happening. So most likely they're telling the truth. It's more of why would they lie? Because for me, why would I lie? I just want to protect people. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if I just think he's a bad person, I'll be like, oh, he's a bad person. But I wouldn't say anything about that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just think of why would they lie. You have to understand what you have to think of the reasoning and try to judge on their character. If they're a compulsive liar, maybe be a little bit more wary. I'm not saying don't not believe them.
Mm-hmm.
Be a little bit more wary, but it's like what is this person gaining?
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm just saying about one of this guy I go to school to who's just a regular guy, it's not like I'm winning anything from him. It's more I feel like the lying is when you hear about celebrities and stuff.
Yeah.
That's just a whole different culture. But just try to listen and just try to be open arms,
Mm-hmm.
don't attack them. The number one thing, if someone opens up to you, it's okay to ask like some questions, but I can't tell you how I've never told anyone except the police like the actual like what happened play by play because it's no one's business.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ever ask that. Don't say like, well, what happened? Like, did he do this? Did he do this? Or did she do this? Did she do this? Don't ask that. It's none of your business. Just hear what they're telling you. Maybe if you are confused, like to clarify something. And, it's different. Like, I made a rule in my family. I said, I don't want to talk about it unless I bring it up.
Mm-hmm.
But it's different. They still ask me how I'm feeling or like how I feel about certain things. That's different because I
Mm-hmm.
respect that. But because if you just catch me off guard saying, like, like, how is your like
Yeah.
you can't catch someone off guard, so allow them to talk to you. Don't interrupt them because we don't feel heard already and we just want you to be listening to us. Just listen with open ears and try not to pass judgment and don't ask too many questions. Just be there for that person. Just be a compassionate person.
Mm-hmm. Some of the questions I've gotten when I've told a few friends was like, well, why didn't you say anything? Like, well, why didn't you
Why didn't you
fight?
push them off?
Yeah, like, why didn't you fight him off? Why didn't you say anything? And there's a lot more that happens like that. For me, going to the police and like hashing out all of that, going to court, that was terrifying for me. And that was like a big reason why I never said anything because I emotionally was not able to do that. And I don't think people realize how difficult that whole process is.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's literally terrifying. I mean, like I'm so thankful that they made me do it because I mean, as soon as I told my parents, they were like, "We're going to the police station." I literally told them they're like, "Hop in the car. We're gonna go report it," because I was a minor. It's a little different when you're a minor and stuff. But I mean, just the whole process was terrifying. Don't get misconstrued. Everyone's obviously view is different and stuff, but I'm really happy that he did it. He was also a minor at the time. So he kind of walked off with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But I scared the hell out of him because you made someone to go to court for 3 years. So I wish that he never did it. And I'm not saying there's anything good or bad about reporting or not reporting it. I mean, most of my most people I know who have reported as an adult, they did get charges because you're an adult now. You can't really say anything. There's no, I'm not saying don't feel bad if you don't, but I do encourage you to do it. Don't feel scared or anything. I mean, everyone's gonna have a different reaction because like police are just regular people. Some people are gonna get it and some people don't. Luckily the police that I had got it and like defended me and stuff, but that whole process was just a messy thing and it definitely made me grow up at a young age and it obviously affected me. I'm going from the summer into my senior year to going straight to court and stuff, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't regret it, though. I don't regret it, and there was a lot of complications throughout the time of it, but whatever. But I'm happy that I did go through with it. And if someone keeps pressuring you to do it, it's doing it because they care. Because, some of my friends who have told me, and it's, like, recent, where I'm like, let's go to the police station, like... Because it's like, you're going to scare that person, at least. If nothing happens, you're going to scare them. And I believe in bullying in that point, I believe in bullying in that, like, So I also think a number one biggest thing, if you have been sexually assaulted, please delete that person's contact information, social media. You don't need a trigger, you don't need a reminder, and you
Yeah.
don't need them to reach out to you. Whatever you deal with it, police or not, it's the thing. It's easier to creep back in if you like if they apologize and you accept that. It's
Mm-hmm.
gonna happen again. That's the number one. I think that's a really big
That's a
thing.
good point. Mm-hmm.
So again, there's just no right or wrong way to do it. We just have different experiences, and even though we can relate, I don't know exactly what happened to you, and you don't know
Mm-hmm.
exactly what happened to me. I have an understanding.
Mm-hmm.
So don't, if this has never happened to you, thank God, like,
Yeah.
thank goodness that this has never happened to you. But if someone's coming up to you and saying, hey, this is the literal worst thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Like, I,
Same.
this is literally, I think I rather would have been murdered than this happened to me. And now I have to live with this.
Yeah.
Because it's just a constant battle of pain and everything. And, like, I don't necessarily share how bad I feel about myself sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just because no one asks sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just like, if just that one person asks, and even like how we seem so strong talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, I was like crying 2 days ago. So
Yeah, there's certain weeks where I'm like, no, mm-mm, got triggered. No,
mm-mm.
yeah. And next, I want to kind of talk about the whole therapy aspect because I'm just new to therapy. I started January, and
Oh, nice. Okay.
yeah,
Oh, you
so
just started January.
just
Okay.
started January, and part of the reason was because of this. And so the first meeting you guys have, they like diagnose you, and for me, it was anxiety, depression, and PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Very common with this
hmm
sort of event.
yeah, and so my instinctive reaction was to be scared because like, oh god, there's something wrong with me, like, ugh, I'm a lost case. But now I'm like, actually, I'm really glad that I don't need to have that title on me. But now I know, okay, this is something I'm dealing with. Doesn't mean it's forever, it could be temporary, like that's depend on each person. But now I know what to do, and like what are the next goals and steps on how to get better with it.
Mm-hmm.
So how, besides the really shitty therapist that you had to go through, when you finally were able to find the one you're with now, how has that helped changed
I
everything?
think it definitely helped me because I had some few not so great ones when I was younger, and then it was probably like a few years ago. 2 years ago, I found no, yeah, like 2.5 years ago, I found my one therapist, and I loved her,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like a really great connection with her. And then I stopped going because I felt fine, and then, you know, when it rains, it turns into a hurricane, you know? And so I wanted to reach out to her again, but she was on maternity leave.
Oh.
And I was like, I'm not, because for me, I don't like opening up to people because I'm complex, and it just is like, it takes me a while to get comfortable with
Yeah.
people. And so my one therapist now, she, I like met her, and I was like, ugh, I was so mean. I wasn't mean to her the first time I met
Yeah.
her, but I met her, and oh my God, I literally have never felt a better connection with her. We're on a first name basis. I feel so comfortable with her. She helps me so much. She listens to me. I've had the best advice. I've been with her for over a year now. And I was doing like, I either do weekly or bi-weekly, or every 2 weeks, just depending on how
Mm-hmm.
everything is and stuff. But I definitely think it's helped me just because I had an outlet. Sometimes I would just talk about like what happened in the past week, and some days, I would say, hey, like, this is really bugging me, can we work on this? And
Mm-hmm.
it's just nice to have that outlet and professional help. It made me feel less crazy because I was thinking, like, I feel bad about myself, or I just feel crazy. And she's like, no, that's your mental illness. That's not crazy. Because
Mm-hmm.
for me, I've been super forgetful, and I didn't know that's because of PTSD. Or like, I shake a lot. Like, I just shake a lot in general, and that's because of my anxiety and just because of my nerves in general. I don't really understand that. But it's just nice to, like, I had someone explain this to me so I didn't feel crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think everyone should go to therapy at least once. If your first one doesn't feel like a perfect fit, it's okay. It took me like 7 So don't feel discouraged. You're going to find someone that clicks with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not like we all get along with every single person in the world.
No.
So you're going to find your perfect fit. So I totally think that's an option for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can already say it's helped me a lot because it's nice that I have someone
Mm-hmm.
specific to talk to about anything, and there's no bias, there's no judgment. Her job is just there to listen and help, and now we do like plans of like, all right, so we're struggling with this, here's some stuff that you can do, let's check back in our next meeting and see where the progress has gone. And how therapy is like now connected to this whole topic. There's times where I struggle with intimacy and initiating because there's like a block in my head of I like it's wrong, this is not safe, or for me, I emotionally really detach really easy. Like as a defense mechanism, I just push myself off if I'm getting too close. And so I've noticed that's affected my relationships or friendships just with anything. And so with this therapist, it's been nice to be able to talk about that, understand why is that is. You're not crazy, there's nothing wrong with you. It's totally understandable, it's valid. What can we do to get you where you want to be? And so, like you said, I highly recommend therapy if you haven't done it yet. Again, I'm still really new to it. I'm finding my groove with it. It's can be scary when you're about to start, but once you find your right fit, oof, like lots of good things can happen.
Yeah, I think so too. Did you want to talk about like the party culture
Oh,
just yet?
yeah, let's do that.
Okay, I'm just letting you know. I know we live and I love that we have freedom and stuff, and we are kind of in that constant mind of let me mind my own business if it doesn't involve me and it doesn't
Mhm.
matter, which is okay in most situations. That's
Mhm.
totally fine. But if you're at a party and you see someone that just doesn't look okay, it literally takes 2 seconds for you to be like, "Hey, are you good?"
Mhm.
And you can tell that from that. It's not that hard to be a decent person. If someone's passed out on the couch and a guy's up on her, if you don't know them, just be like, "Hey," like, if you ask her, "Hey, are you good?" Because he could be like, "I'm her boyfriend," and then it's
Mhm.
not. I'm not saying don't trust people. If anyone just doesn't look okay, just go and ask them. It's
It's not that
not that
hard.
hard.
Mhm. I think because we both go to festivals, and
Yeah,
so I think
exactly.
that can tie a lot into if you're just out at the clubs, bars, at a festival,
Anywhere.
anywhere. Like if you see somebody that is not all coherent, maybe they had a little bit too much of whatever they're on, or they're with somebody that you can tell that they're uncomfortable, step up, like just say something and make sure that they're okay. I wish people have done that with me.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
And you don't realize how much of a difference that can make to the person.
Yeah, exactly. Like the first time we met, like, I mean, I was pretty drunk, but I
Mhm.
remember the whole night. And she helped me. She was just like, "Oh, are you good?" and stuff. And this is before she even knew about my background and
Mhm.
everything, which is even crazier.
Yeah.
So it's not that hard to be a decent person. And I think it's also, I mean, yeah, it sucks that people have to take these certain precautions to do this, but I don't think enough parents have conversations with their kids, especially if your kid is going to college. Have this conversation with them because I don't know any college kid who doesn't go out and doesn't party and doesn't
Mhm.
do something about if you leave your drink on a table and you come back, you get a new
Yeah.
drink. You don't leave your drink unattended. If someone hands you a drink, like you don't take it. And even if I kind of, unless they're my best friend, if I don't see the drink being made, I'm not going to drink it.
Mhm.
And this does play in, I do have more trust issues
Yeah.
based on my experience. And luckily, I've never been roofied that I know of.
Mhm.
That I'm happy that it's just, you have to be a little bit more careful
Mhm.
because, I mean, as much as we can say, don't rape people or don't drug people or don't do this, they're still going to do it.
Mhm.
So these little steps, and there's so many tools and tricks. Like one of my favorite things, there's a whole bunch of different brands, so I'm not going to promote anything, but they have the little, they're like little like covers for your cup, and you can have a straw in there,
Oh.
so you can't slip anything in. And I have
Mhm.
one. I just ordered one, so when I go out, and even when I go out, I have my hand over my
Yep.
drink, and it's just it's like for me, I think about it because I'm like, well, I've been sexually assaulted sober,
Mm-hmm.
so I just don't want to do it intoxicated and stuff. Just like little things, and don't leave anyone by themselves if they're really messed up. Because I mean, sometimes for me, I just like to take a walk by myself around the bar when I'm out for a
Yeah.
second, and I'll be fine. If someone does not look okay, don't leave them.
Mm-hmm.
Don't leave them alone. You don't
Yeah.
need to.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's just, I mean, I typically kind of, sometimes I'm like the more mom of the friend, which is fine. It's just, there's just little things that we can do that can save someone's life. Just you asking if they're okay and someone's making them uncomfortable and they're saying no, and if you can help them, you could literally have saved someone's life. You don't know what could have
Mm-hmm.
happened 20 minutes later or
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Yeah. I obviously we're not parents, so from that perspective, we're not there yet. But as
Not for a.
yes, but as people who have parents, I think we can say parents have those conversations with your kids. Even the parents out there that are very conservative or very protective of, like let's not have the birds and the bees talk or don't get uncomfortable with those. I encourage you parents, siblings, whoever, you can muster up the courage to be uncomfortable a little bit and teach your kids safety and how to properly protect people when they're out, how to protect themselves, and how to watch out for the red flags.
As much as you don't want it to happen, like for me, I had parents that informed me from a very young age what everything was. I mean, I had the birds and the bees talk way before I was even ready for
Mm-hmm.
even to have sex, because they're like, I'd rather you learn from us than you learn in an like a wrong way and
Mm-hmm.
everything. And I had like the drug talk. I had like a very early talk about like alcohol and everything at a
Mm-hmm.
young age, so I wouldn't feel uncomfortable in the situations. And so that was just something like an open topic. Like my luckily, I just had, if I had a question, I could just ask my parents and I
Yeah.
wouldn't feel bad about it and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And so for me, like growing up like that, when, I got to that teenager thing, it's different when you start going out, but I already had those like knowledges. I didn't have to like learn as I was going. I already had kind of knew what I was learning.
Mm-hmm.
So just that simple talk, it's going to happen. If you have kids, they're going to be teenagers, they're going to be in college. It's going to happen. They're going to have sex. They're going to drink. They're going to go to parties. So might as well protect them. It's not protecting them by not telling them, because the reason I'm protected is because I was informed.
Mm-hmm. That's what I see. Like some peers that their parents are really protective, conservative, and they go to college or they're exposed to all these things and they don't know how to react or what to do. And you see some kids where they kind of fall off the deep end because they weren't informed or they weren't properly taught. Like, this is the world, good and bad. It's up to you to be smart, but now you know, and here's the tools for you to be prepared.
Yeah, because I don't want to be naive and, like take candy from off the street. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
something we learn from at a young age. But if I'm naive and if some guy gave me a drink at a party, I'd be like, oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But he could have a different alternative. And maybe it's just him giving you a drink, or she's just giving you a drink. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just better to be, like, my biggest thing is better to be safe than sorry. And that's why I'm weird about certain things, because I've been sexually assaulted like 3 times, and every time it's happened I was sober, and I don't want it to do it when I don't even remember it
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know what's going on with my body. And I definitely think that you should be with people, as much as I want to go out and stuff too, I'd rather be with people that I feel more comfortable with and more safe with.
Yeah.
Because I used to go out with some people that like I wasn't that close with, just my party friends, and I was like, would they leave me if I like wasn't okay and stuff? So now I'd rather just stay closer with a few friends and like my close friends and stuff than be unsafe, because I know they would take care of me if anything happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I was doing all these precautions, something still could happen to me. I know
Yeah.
they would help me.
Yeah. That's really important. So, people, if you have close friends, keep them close. Like, find the right people that have your best intentions, because that's super important. And sometimes it's really hard to find that, but again, like I said earlier, once you do, like, you're set.
Yeah, exactly. Because what's the point? Like, I would never leave my friend if I would never leave my friend in any circumstance,
Mm-hmm.
because why would I do that? I mean, even if she got me kicked out of a club, you know, if I'm like, all right, we're both kicked out then.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to leave someone by myself. There's like some circumstances, if they're just being stupid and, you know, there's some circumstances and stuff. You can't take care of everyone. It's not your job to take care of anyone. But if you see someone just not okay,
Mm-hmm.
just be a nice person. Because if they do that for you, like, they're probably going to do it for you. You know,
Yeah.
if you do that for them, they're probably going to do it for you.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm. Can we get into like the tips of so guys and girls, what are stuff that you can do to be better prepared when you're out or even when it's people you know, what are stuff that you can do to just kind of help yourself? It kind of sucks that we have to do this, but I feel like not a lot of people know there's more things you can do to make sure you're safe.
Yeah, exactly. Like, better safe than sorry. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't leave my house without my pepper spray, and I most of the time bring my taser and stuff. I just like pepper spray because I don't have to be as close to use it.
Yeah.
I have unfortunately had to use my pepper spray, and I'll always hold it when you're at, like, if especially if day or night, because anything can happen these days.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm walking to my car, I always have my keys in my hand so I'm not struggling up my car, so it's not like at any time. If you, because I mean, the sex trafficking has been crazy. I've been followed around in Target before.
Yeah.
I just told an employee and they walked me to my car. You
Yeah.
know, it's okay to ask for help. They're gonna be like, well, yeah, like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like, if I can't tell you how many times at the gym a girl has run up to me and be like, hey, can you help me and be my friend? I'm
Yeah.
like, sure. I think also with that, you know, if someone looks uncomfortable, just go ask if they're okay. Or if you feel uncomfortable, it's okay to go ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
Don't we mind our business too much. Just go ask for
Yeah.
help.
Yeah, I think this is like one of the good spaces where you can kind of like if stick your nose somewhere just to be safe and double check. And if they're good, then all right, cool. Like at least everybody's fine. But if you don't say anything and something's off, like you don't know what's gonna happen. And like you said, you could have prevented someone a lot of hurt, a lot of trauma, and even like save a life.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also be very aware of your surroundings, because I'm the one who, you know, if you catcall me to very disrespectfully, I'm going to pop off. But it depends on where I am. If I'm alone at night, I'm not going to pop off because I know that's just going to anger them. If
Mm-hmm.
I'm in like public or during the daytime, you know, maybe I'll say something. I think it's also to
Mm-hmm.
be like aware of your surroundings. I'm not saying, oh, you shouldn't say this because they're saying weird things to you. Be aware of your surroundings, know where you are, and know if you can, like, if you need, find a safe person that you can go to. Just be aware of your surroundings of,
Mm-hmm.
like, for me, I know where exits are and stuff just in
Mm-hmm.
case anything happens. So,
Yeah. If you're like us, like a raver, you go to festivals,
mhm.
what I always have been doing is I designate somebody as like my buddy
Me too.
and like tell them, okay, you're my boyfriend, girlfriend for the night. And if someone comes up to me, like you're my person, I'm telling like, oh, I'm with them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And again, my anxiety, I hate going out now because not to like toot my own horn or anything, but I like to dance, and so people are naturally drawn to people that are
Yeah.
out there. So for me now, I'm always like, all right, you're my boyfriend, my girlfriend. We're gonna like dance, and if someone comes up to me, I'm gonna count on you to help me get them off. And quick story, but that's kind of how my boyfriend and I started dating because we were friends, went out to a show with our friends, and I told him like, okay, you're my designated buddy, because
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
And so now, long story short, here we are a year later, but if you like to go out, maybe find someone that okay, here's my partner, my buddy, or like you could say the tasers, keys in the hands if you're out, lock your doors when you go in the car. There, so many different stories I see on the news of people like waiting for your cars or they flat like make your tires go flat.
Yeah.
Yeah, some scary stuff.
I mean, yeah, like for me, it sucks that I have to do it, but if there's anything, a weird marker on my car, like I'll immediately call someone and be like, hey, can you just meet me here?
Mm-hmm.
That's luckily never happened to me. Or, like, I tend to like check under my car just in case.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is usually only at night because like tricks like that usually don't happen during the
Yeah.
daytime and stuff. But I'm also just be more hyper vigilant. You know, I'm not saying everyone's a bad person, but there are a lot of bad people out there. Just I'm a very trusting person, like just in general, and
Mm-hmm.
I have to learn to be, you know, paranoid and trusting at the same time. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
little difficult. But if you're more trusting like me, it's okay to be a little bit more skeptical because, you know, not everyone's going to have the right state of
Yeah.
heart of mine. So just be careful,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Yeah, I think also another thing when you're telling people you trust about what's happened, again, try not to have expectations because people sometimes don't know how to react, or you're gonna realize someone you thought you could trust is at the end of the day like not someone you can trust. I've had someone message me. They got upset with me, like a whole chaos story where I had to go to the police because I thought like to get a restraining order, and they told me like I hope you get raped again. And I share this with you now just to as a warning, like just be really cautious and careful who you trust because sometimes people will use that against you, and it really sucks that that has to happen. But just like a key to caution, find the people that you're really close with. I really, a firm believer it's quality over quantity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
so again, when you find those close friends that have your back, will make sure you're okay, like you're set.
Yeah, and it only takes like a few good people that I'm so lucky that I have, so close to me. But it took me a while to find these relations, and it is what it is. There's gonna be people who understand you, and if someone who doesn't, that's not your fault. That's
Mm-hmm.
their fault, and it's not really their fault, but if they make you feel bad about it, then that's definitely their fault. If they don't understand it, but they're supportive, then okay, like that's something you can work with. But
Mm-hmm.
don't ever make someone feel bad about something they can't control.
Yeah, 100%. Is there anything else you wanted to go over or touch on?
No, I don't think so.
No,
What about you? I
I
feel like we
no.
covered a lot of
We
stuff.
covered a lot of stuff. A lot. I know I already learned a lot of good things
Yeah, me
today.
too. I feel
Yeah.
good about
Yeah.
this.
Thank
Cool.
you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you.
of course. Like here's another cheers. I'm already kind of
I know,
getting
me too.
stoned. But
Cheers.
mhm. Again, I'm gonna put our social medias on in the description, whatever platform you're on. That
Yeah,
way, if you need someone to talk to, we're here for you. We're
cool.
gonna put resources once we have the consent workshop with you.
Yeah.
Post that up. So if you want to be updated, please follow us. And yeah, again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having
I think
me.
this was really powerful.
I think this was, hopefully, people can understand this and take something back from this.
Yeah. Again, the whole reason I'm doing this podcast is if it resonates with one person, then I'm more than happy to keep doing this. And I really hope this opens up a conversation and opens up perspectives for people out there.
Yeah, because it's a conversation it's been needing to have.
It's way
So,
overdue.
way overdue. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
all right. Thank you so
Thank
much. All
you.
right. Thanks, guys. Yeah. Resources in the description, wherever you're listening at. Thank you. Again, my name's Ira. This is Summer, and we'll see you guys next week.
Sounds good.